Do not fear, Saf is here, and look at my background today. My word, what technological problems we've had today. But look, this is Saf Buxy from Saf Surgery, and finally we are here. And I apologise for all the viewers who've been waiting patiently. But you know what? It's all great having technology, but sometimes, just sometimes, it can go a bit pear-shaped. But you know what? Better late than never. And what a guest I have today. I welcome Mr. David Brian Strickle. And he's probably going to wonder, how do I know his middle name? Well, I do, and we'll have a chat about that. But he was born in 1968 in Texas. His father, Ray, left when he was 6 years old. And his mother, Linda, abruptly moved him and his brother to his hometown in Los Angeles. David, from an early childhood, received what he refers to as guidance from the source, and this is all Greek to me because I have no idea. This is going to be like an education to me. It really is. Are we on? Not sure if we're on. We are on. Yeah, this is going to be like an education to me. So I'm really looking forward to hearing David's story. So during his teenage years, he developed a deep understanding of universal laws. And universal laws are used on a regular basis, mainly the law of duality and the law of heuristic escalation. And I know David's going to talk a lot about different kinds of laws, and I think in particular law of attraction. I could be wrong. But he used these teachings to overcome enormous obstacles. He developed an ability to share his guidance for the benefit of others and has created simple set tools that profoundly transformed every aspect of his life, delivering a life of joy, clarity, and abundance. And the word abundance is quite apparent because he has got his own program called the TYA Practice. And I know the A stands for abundance, and it tells what the T and the Y stands for. Well, I'll tell you what it stands for. It said, trust your abundance. And I think that's just so beautiful. And I want to talk about how he came to this, and what this program and what this practice involves, and how many people it has helped. Guys, this is a genuine, warm, patient, deep understanding of universal law. David is I just feel so blessed to have him here. Yes, we are a bit late, but my word, it will definitely be worth waiting for. Without further ado, David, where you at, my brother?
I'm right here.
David,
Southern California. Not so sunny Southern California today.
So, well, yeah, it's good. We're about an hour away from London here, and it's very dark. But thank you very much for waiting. Again, I apologise to you and all the viewers. We had a bit of a hitch, but we're here now. We're here. So welcome, David. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas Eve. God, yeah. Well, it's 8:30 now in the UK, 8:30 p.m. So will be Christmas Day soon. Yeah, brilliant. Look, David, let's get straight into it because I've got quite a few viewers who've been waiting and they're dying to know about what you do and a bit about your life and where you come from. So do you want to say very briefly about you growing up and how you came to this way of life, really?
Yeah, certainly. I grew up in the South. It was funny when you said LA because I don't know, you might have gotten that online, but it's actually Louisiana. I grew up in the South. I live near LA now. I live 2 hours outside LA.
Well, I'm going to blame Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia. That stuff just all gets cobbled together, and yeah, you can definitely blame Wikipedia. But I do appreciate being listed there. That's a nice thing. So I grew up in the Southern United States. My father left when I was 6. My mother raised my brother and myself. She wasn't terribly interested in being a parent. So I was really left to my own devices, which ended up being the best thing ever because I didn't have the separation from source that many of us are taught to have. I didn't have parents, telling me, to what to believe and not to believe. I was really left to my own devices, and I had a nice connection with source. I think we all do. And I listened to it. I paid attention to it, and it really kept me out of a lot of trouble and gave me a lot of confidence and courage to get through what was a rough childhood. I always understood what we call the law of attraction. I didn't know what it was called. I actually thought it was my own invention at one point. When I was about 14, I remember telling my older brother that I invented this cool thing that if you just believe something is, it just is, and it happens. And I used it in my life, and he thought I was nuts. So the interesting thing about that is that I went with my belief system. And even though I lived in a minimum wage, one-parent household, we had no money. By the time I was in high school, I was driving a brand new car, wearing nice clothes, hanging out with the richest kids in town. Everybody thought I was one of the rich kids, but I lived in a 2-bedroom roach-infested apartment with prostitutes and drug dealers and all that sort of thing going on around me. So it was a really interesting childhood, and I utilized my understanding of universal law for the first 20 years or so of my adult life to focus on manifesting material things: beautiful home, great cars, great clothes, travel, you name it. I had it. I had all the stuff you're supposed to have to be happy, yet I wasn't really happy. There was a lot of things in my life that I was really not happy with. And so I had this side of me that I always called my knowing was really well developed in me. I really paid attention to my knowing above and beyond everything else, because I really had an understanding of universal law, even though I didn't know what the human created terminology was for all of these laws. I understood them. I understood polarity. I understood vibrational flow. I understood law of attraction. I don't even use the same words that a lot of mainstream spiritual teachers use, because I really learned them from my own knowing. What I call my source connection, what I now call the stream. So I, in my late 40s, came out of the closet as a channel and started sharing my channeling with the world. And I call what I channel the stream, and it's known widely as the stream of David. And it's source consciousness. And I think that there's a level of it available to all of us. We all have a connection to it. But I have a really pronounced ability to speak source consciousness. And what I have come to understand is that universal law is very simple, actually. The universal laws are not anything that's terribly complex. In mainstream religion and spiritual teachings, we tend to make things very complicated. But really connecting to source and understanding vibrational flow, universal law, understanding polarity, which you may refer to as duality, is very transformative to start to understand these things and apply them in your life in real time.
When you say source, connected to source, what is source? What can source be? Can it be anything? Or is there a specific, does everyone have a different source, or is there one source?
I believe there is one source that we're all part of, and it's eternal thought. It is eternal wisdom, if you will. It is the consciousness that is beyond physical, and it's everything. It's all things, and we're all part of it. And there's no real separation in that realm. We tend to think in terms of quantity as human beings. We're perceiving linear time. We think in terms of quantity. People ask the stream all the time, how many lifetimes has someone had, and how many lifetimes do you have to have, and how many entities are in source, and all of these quantifiable questions. The answer is always the same, that the energetic realm is a realm of consciousness, and it's a collective consciousness of all that is. Therefore, it's not quantifiable, but we as human beings tend to think in terms of how many are the stream. How many of us have access to the stream? How many times do we have to come and live lifetimes and think in linear time? Because that's what we're operating in on planet Earth. But when you get into source consciousness, they're really not about any of that. But they can talk about that because they understand our perspective. But it's not a quantifiable thing at all. And to me, source is the same thing as your inner being, your higher self, God. I think it's all the same thing. And we just have these human created teachings around it that teach us that it's different things. What I have encountered with the stream is a loving energy that is all knowing, certainly from an eternal consciousness perspective, but is also non-judgmental and not looking to be worshiped or obeyed or anything of that nature. What I channel is all about guidance if you care to follow it. And there's nothing wrong with not following it. There's nothing wrong with not believing in it. It's not for everyone. It's for those who are aligned with it. And when I channel, if you feel like it's something that makes sense to you and resonates with you, then it's a good message for you. If it's something that turns you off, then let it turn you off. It's okay.
You have empowered and changed with your TYA boot camp and your TYA program so many people. I mean, I was reading some of your testimonials, and it's incredible. So it does work. Well, it has worked with these people.
It does. If people, you have to give it power. You have to give anything power for it to work, and anything that you give power to can work. But the reason I created TYA stands for Trust Your Abundance, like you said. The reason I created TYA is because I was frustrated with universal law. I was frustrated in my own life at what I called misapplying universal law. I understood universal law. I understood how to attract certain things. I attracted money and material things with ease throughout most of my adult life. But there were other things that I wanted to attract that I wasn't able to attract. I had these blocks. And for a while, I actually thought something was broken about me or wrong, because I understood that whatever you can align with can be yours. But the aligning is the trick. And the aligning consistently is the trick to all of that. And once I understood that, okay, I figured out how to do what most people don't figure out how to do, and that's manifest money and material things, I'm now going to take the universal laws that I understand and create a system for myself so that I can evolve to a place where I can manifest all of it. And I did. I manifested everything that people want, not necessarily all at the same time. And, you know, things flow in and out. Certainly, we're all human. And that's part of the experience. But TYA, the thing that TYA does is it gives you a set of human tools to operate your life in today's world within universal law. Harnessing the power of universal law in your life. And the key to all of this is raising what we call your default vibration, getting closer to source, forgiving your transgressors, having a practice where you're allowing your natural source connection to flow, to be realized almost all the time. You know, it's not about going and sitting and meditating for an hour every day. It really is about having that connection flowing all the time, no matter what you're doing. And releasing the transgressor energy, all of that victim vibration stuff that really drags us down, our triggers, all of these things, definitely being more intentional in your thoughts and what you desire in the moment, in the day, and in your life in general. So all of these things combine to create the TYA practice. And I teach TYA all over the place all the time. You mentioned boot camp. I also have a boot camp for people that want to get in and spend 12 weeks working with me to sort of cement TYA in as their new way of life. But I teach the tools everywhere all the time.
Can we do something now? Can you show me something?
Well, the thing about TYA is it's a mindset practice. So there are 4 pillars, and we talked about forgiveness. One of the key components of the TYA practice is what you might call radical forgiveness, appreciating everything that's happened in your life. And you've seen some of the testimonials. So we have had people that have overcome incurable illness, cancer. We've had people that have manifested their way out of low-paying jobs into owning businesses. We have people that have manifested their way out of abusive relationships, people that have manifested their way out of addiction and things like that. It works on every single topic because everything at its core is a vibration. So we all have vibrations about us that are wanted and unwanted. We all have a handful of things that we know we're good at, and they just work for us all the time. We all do. And then we have a handful of things that don't work for us a lot of the times. And very often, the things that aren't working that we want the most are where we're blocked. People think that they need to have, more money flow in. Once they have more money flow in, they're going to be happy at last. Or they need to have a partner that they resonate with, that's this true love, flame, whatever you want to call it. They need to have that in their life to be happy. They need to lose 40 pounds. They need to have the perfect body. They need to have what I call the Instagram life, which to me is all bullshit, because Instagram is what people are putting out there about themselves, but it doesn't tell the whole story usually. And what I do in my teachings is I tell the whole story. When something is going on in my life that I'm challenged with, I'm the first one to jump on, my podcast and say, hey, this is what I'm working through right now. This is how I manifest it. This is how it's going to serve me, or how it's already serving me. And I'm going to detune that transgressor energy and move on from it. So the detuning of transgressors is a very powerful tool. And I love to teach that to people, especially on a holiday where we often have transgressors around the holiday. We have the transgressors of perhaps being around people that lower our vibration, or we allow them to lower our vibration. Your brother-in-law that you argue with, over the dinner table, that sort of thing. Or the transgressor of being alone on a holiday like Christmas. That's all negative energy. It's all things that we allow to take our vibe down. And when you find appreciation for the things that lower your vibration, you detune their power over you. And I have worked with people, Saf, that have had children murdered, that had to find appreciation for that. I've worked with people who have been severely abused in the past and had to find appreciation for that. But in finding appreciation for it, they detune negative energy around it. It's a very, very powerful, highly transformative practice. It's not something you just do. If someone has abused you in some way, especially if it's a systematic abuse by someone you trust over many years, you're not going to just snap your fingers and say, I'm just going to decide to appreciate it. It's work. You got to do some work to sort of reverse everything that you've thought about this person, the events around this person for your whole life. But when you do, then all that negative energy that's always there waiting for you, that little movie that's playing in your mind all the time of how you were mistreated, that goes away. And when that goes away, your vibration just naturally goes up. So that's a huge component of the TYA practice, is detuning transgressors.
How much is acceptance part of the detuning process?
Acceptance is I talk very often about walking this path. We call it forgiveness. Within the 4 pillars of TYA, the first pillar is forgiveness. But it's way beyond forgiveness. You sort of walk a path where forgiveness is sort of the vibration of, you did something bad to me, and I'm going to let you off the hook and get over it. That's kind of most people's idea of forgiveness, is that you're going to move past it. Acceptance is kind of along the lines of appreciation. You did something terrible to me. You screwed me over in business, for instance. You screwed me out of $1 million in business, and I can't stop thinking about how angry I am that you did that and you got away with it. I can't sleep at night thinking about how my partner screwed me out of this money. This is just an example. And that negative energy just keeps things of that nature coming back into your life because you're focusing on it. You're not always focusing on it. And notice that when your vibration is really high, you can get beyond that. You can start to make peace with it. You can appreciate. You can, do that sort of, automatic bypassing of it. But then polarity, reality, takes your vibration down. Everybody goes down. Everybody does. There's no cure for that. That's why we're here, actually, this vibrational flow. So polarity takes your vibration down. You're a different being in low vibration than you are when you're in high vibration. That's why when you get in an argument with someone that you care about, you say things that you quote don't mean, but you did mean them. You are just a different being down there than you are up here in high vibration. And so it was a natural process for all of us. Understanding and harnessing the actual power of that flow is what TYA is all about. So it's learning to completely detune your transgressors so that when polarity takes your vibration down, you don't have these triggers waiting for you down there anymore. And it's pretty amazing because your low vibrational periods become fewer and further between, and you no longer have the triggers that hold you down there. So you might just feel a little sluggish one day, a little lethargic, a little less energized, and move into a phase where it's no longer this, I'm down there, I can't get out, I'm so depressed, I'm so upset, the world seems like it's against me. I turn on the news and everything just seems so dire. When's the pandemic going to end? My money's running out. Oh my gosh, all that negative crap that we live through, that we put ourselves through when we're in that lower vibrational period. And we all know people, hopefully it's not us, but if it is, we know people ourselves that hold themselves in that lower state. They are down there in fear and anger and rage and envy and beating themselves up about being down there, all of that stuff. And when you learn to appreciate the lower vibrational time by detuning transgressors, you move through that lower vibrational period with ease and you move right back up. In fact, another great tool that I can share with your audience right now is that the next time something negative crosses your path, transgressor, any unwanted person, circumstance, or event, doesn't matter what it is, instead of reacting to it, set it aside if you can, and go do something to raise your vibration. Go do something that makes you feel better every time. Just take your mind off of it and then return to it in a higher vibrational state. Because when you return to it in a higher vibrational state and actually appreciate what you've manifested in your obstacle, the solution for that obstacle will just flow right in. It's a magical practice.
Yeah, I like that because there's a lot of teachers out there who try to ignore and not acknowledge the negativity that's happening. And I'm someone who's a strong believer of acknowledging it. I was trained by Dr. John Demartini. Do you know Demartini at all?
No.
He was in The Secret, but he's one of the, I always mention The Secret, but he's more than that. He's a human behavioral consultant, and he's done a lot of human behavioral work. And he always, well, we see things as, and maybe you can relate to this or not, that where there's a negative, look at the benefits of the negative, and where there's a positive, look at the drawbacks of the positive, because too many people in this world are bought into the fantasy of living a one-sided world, and we should having a two-sided perception and bring it into an equilibrium. And the other thing he also says is live by your highest priority values and not by anyone else's. So no one should be put on a pedestal and no one should be put in the pit. We should put in our heart and bring it to an equal.
Well, we call that having appreciation for all that is, and seeing through the eyes of source, which I love the practice, because we're all source connected. We all are, however you label that. And that focus of non-judgment is extremely freeing and delivers joy. So when you can look at the world and not judge the behavior of other people and not judge the experience of other people. A question that I get very often is, okay, you're telling me to appreciate negative, kind of the surface level questions. Well, how do I appreciate being abused as a child? And that's a personal journey for everyone. But I was abused as a child, and I absolutely appreciate it now. But I had to do some work to get there. And now that I fully appreciate it and see the gift that all of that was for me and the person that I developed into as a result, I can fully appreciate that. And it's not a trigger. It's not a negative thing for me anymore. And moving to a place, and a lot of times people get into spirituality, and the vibration is very benevolent. People want to want to heal the world and want to save the world. And I don't see the world as needing to be healed or saved, because I understand that we are here for the mix of positive and negative, that the things that we consider negative are really the source of creation, because we create solutions for things that we don't prefer in our lives and in our world. And that is new creation. New thought springs from that. That is the expansion of the universe. It's why we come to physical. So having a deep grasp on that allows you to appreciate all that is and stand in appreciation of everyone's path, and not needing to assert yourself into someone else's journey and say, hey, you need to come be part of TYA because the way you're living life is all wrong. That's not the way TYA works at all. It's very opposite of that. TYA is all about, this is for those who are aligned with this set of teachings that are rooted in universal law, but they're all about appreciating everyone for the path that they're on. There's no evangelizing or preaching to other people about it, because you really have a high understanding that everyone's here to live their journey. Their soul knows what they're doing here. And it's not our place or our business to start asserting ourselves into that or the other soul's journey. And it's a very freeing thing to stop needing to do that.
It's very similar with the way I've been taught, is because I too have been abused for many years, from a very young age. Well, from the age of 11 to 17 for 6 years on a daily basis. And through the work, and you're right, you have to do some work through it. It can't just go just like that. But the way, apart from the acceptance and the appreciation, as you say, which I love, I've also looked at how it served me today. And I think that's very similar to what you're saying as well. How has that event or those events or any event, how have they served me today? And how has it served others as well? Do you look at the other side of things as well? How it served them, the perpetrators, for example?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's hard to find when the transgressor is a person. I think it would be fairly difficult to find full appreciation if you didn't view it from their perspective. If you didn't see things because we all enter planet Earth as an infant, and the negative things that we absorb around us and our fears create our behavior. And that behavior is what can drive us to do things that harm other people. And so sort of taking it back to that beginning of humanity place, or the beginning of birth, place for people, and understanding that they didn't project into this life specifically to come and abuse you. It was part of their experience to become an abuser, and no one is abusing anyone from a high vibrational place of joy and self-acceptance and self-love. It just doesn't work that way. When you're in that high vibrational space, you are not in a space where you're wanting to harm other people. But when your vibration is lowered and you're operating on fear or operating on all that you know, which is very often the case with abuse, then that's where they're coming from. And having that little bit of empathy for your abuser, enough to really make peace with everything that was gained from the negative interaction for all parties involved, that's where you come to a place of appreciation. I very often use the example of Falana, whom I worked with in my boot camp program, whose son was murdered. And I use that example over and over again because it's so extreme. Because you can imagine having children, that the worst thing you can probably think of is something happening to one of your children, and then trying to find peace and forgiveness and even appreciation for that path that they were on that ended up with their premature, in your opinion, departure from your life, and then finding forgiveness and even appreciation for the person that did it. Not many people do that. But Falana had gotten to a point where she was tired of, she spent 5 years as the mother of a murdered son. And she couldn't take it anymore. She needed to do something different. She needed a different set of tools. And when she got into boot camp, she acquired a different set of tools. And of course, that doesn't mean that you run around saying, wow, I appreciate this horrible event so much. It's the vibration of it. It's the deep understanding of it. The understanding of the soul journey that brought her son to that place where that occurred, and the vibrational alignment that he had with the one that did it. And all of those things band together for you to understand those events from a higher perspective. And when you understand them from a higher perspective, then you can actually apply a perspective of no fear, no judgment. Source perspective. If you take fear and judgment out of a topic, you can view it through the eyes of source, because you are source. But when we are down in human emotions such as fear and judgment, and we're applying that to something that we're looking at, we're not looking at it from the highest vibrational perspective. And of course, it's going to be more painful. It's going to be less than joyous looking at it like that.
I want to finish up on a couple of questions. And because obviously we started late. So firstly, I want to speak to you about addiction very quickly, and how your process and the stream of David and the source, how that can help with addiction, or people who are entrapped in addiction. And the second question is, people of faith, people who have a religious faith, can they also come to your program, and can they combine the two together? So that we'll finish off on those two questions.
Sure. As far as addiction goes, the thing about addiction, we have all these labels that we slap on things, and we call people, names and things like that. And if that can help them find peace and, deliverance from whatever they've got going on, that's fine. But addiction covers lots and lots of things. We can be addicted to lots and lots of things in our lives. And anytime we're addicted to something, it's because we're disconnected from our source connection, and we're looking for something to make up for that. And you can be addicted to being a billionaire. We talk about super wealthy people who still believe that one more yacht, one more house, one more company is going to be the thing that finally brings them joy. And it just becomes this target that they never reach, because it never really does the trick. So we talk very often about learning to love yourself first before needing anything to change. Because when you learn to love yourself while you're in the addiction, or while your bank account is empty, or while you're unemployed, or while you're overweight, or while you're sick, or whatever it is, all of that stuff starts to shift, because you don't need the soothing anymore. When you detune transgressor energy, very often people that have addictions because they are treating themselves from disorders or things that they're in their the vibrational field or the memory that they harken back to that are painful memories. And they don't want to remember that anymore. So they find when they take a drink, or they take something, or they eat sugar, or whatever it is, it takes the mind off of it and soothes them. It sort of replaces the source connection. But we've all been told that source is something other than what it is. It's God, or that it's some sort of a judgmental deity that is external from us. And when we understand that it's always there, And we are the ones that are drowning it out with our judgment very often, our fear, all of these negative emotions. When we learn to stop doing that and see it differently and build some tools to simply tell a different story and view things differently, then we can wean ourselves off of whatever it was that we were emotionally addicted to. Now, physical addiction is a whole different thing, and I'm not, about to start trying to tell people how to get off of that. I have overcome addictions, definitely a food addiction and definitely an Oxycontin addiction in my life. I'm not a terribly addictive personality, but I was on Oxycontin for a year, and I was definitely in that space of I had to have it every day, or I would go through withdrawal. So I was definitely physically addicted to it, and it took some work to get myself off of it. But definitely I was using it to mask pain, physical pain, but other things as well, because it soothes that separation from source. So TYA is a practice that builds a foundation for anything in your life that you want to change. And it works on any topic, because it's all about raising your default vibration. Again, everything is a vibration. So if you understand that whatever we're experiencing is the station that we're tuned into, and we have to do the work to build a new station that's more likened to what we want, and tune to that and stay tuned to it through vibrational flow. And it's an automatic tuning. It's not something that we sit and will ourselves to do, because then you dip into what we call the vibration of need. The universe only answers yes. So when you're in the vibration of need, the universe is going to say, yes, you need it. You're right. Yes, you need to get off of whatever it is that you're on. Yes, you need more money. Yes, you need to be loved. And you just stay in that cycle forever. So that's what people dip into. They read The Secret. And I think The Secret's a fantastic book, because it introduced to the world the idea of creating your own reality. But people don't get the full message sometimes. They read that, if I think like I have it, it shall be. And they really focus just on that part of that message. And then they sit and try to conjure $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, and it doesn't work. It never comes, because they're in the vibration of need. So you got to get out of the vibration of need. And that's all about worthiness and self-love and self-acceptance, so that you begin to love what is without the need to change. And then everything starts to shift, because it's not about getting that next thing that's going to make you happy. I had all the stuff. I grew up very, very poor, watching people around me that had things, and they seemed happy to me. So I thought, okay, as soon as I have this type of car and this type of refrigerator and this type of house, I'm going to finally be happy. And when I had the Mercedes, the Porsche, the Sub-Zero, and the 4,000 square foot house, I still wasn't happy. I realized, oh shit, something's wrong here. I'm still not happy, and I have all the stuff I'm supposed to have. So as far as to answer the question about religion, there is absolutely nothing dogmatic about TYA. There are no rules. There's no worship. It's a spiritual mindset practice. It's about self-love, self-acceptance, connecting with your version of whatever that is. So I have Catholics in there. I have atheists in there. I have people with all sorts of beliefs that have gone through boot camp and been very, very successful. If you are in a religion that is telling you that is the only way and there's nothing else, that can be a bit of a challenge, but that's just your challenge to work through. And I just encourage everybody to find a process that works for them. And as long as it resonates, as long as you're seeing results in your life, then you're on the right track.
Wow. Thank you very much, David. Where can people find you? Where can people, obviously the website's going down below, www.thestreamofdavid.com. Also, you've got programs on the Spirituality Gone Wild Untamed Club. And where can people, if people want to contact you, is this the best way to contact you through your website?
The best way to get in touch with us, actually, there's something I love to give people for free, and that's a free guided meditation that we give away called Source Connect. And it is a channeled meditation. So it's the stream's channeled guidance to connect you to source. And it's backed by music by Christo Polani. Christo was the drummer for Air Supply way back 70s and 80s. And now he is a spiritual musician, and he does acoustic music that takes you on this magical, spiritual, source-connected journey. So it's both of those things in one guided meditation. And in the United States, this number works. And if it doesn't work, I don't know if it works in the UK yet or not. But I do like to get this number out for US. It's 760-284-7665.
Can you say that again? And I'm gonna write it down. 760-284-7665.
And if you text the word awaken to that number, I know it works in North America. I don't know about outside of North America. If you text awaken to that number, you get the free guided meditation. But if that doesn't work, and if you're international, you can join our group on Facebook called the TYA Practice, TYA, the TYA Practice. So it's just awaken, no ED on the end, just awaken. Thank you for putting that up, though. So if you're in North America, that number works. Anywhere else you are, join the TYA Practice on Facebook. We teach TYA tools in there all the time. I'm in there live every week. I'm also on Spirituality Gone Wild every week at 4. And of course, there's the website, thestreamofdavid.com.
Just going to put this up again. Is that right there? Oh, does it come up? Doesn't come up. Let's do the ticker. I'll get it up there. I wasn't sure.
That's okay. That's okay.
Is that right?
Streamofdavid.com, and you can even Google the TYA Practice, and you'll see videos, testimonials from our YouTube channel. There's just a lot of TYA information out there now between the website and just all the social media sites where we post.
I'm really interested. I mean, if we had more time, I would have spoken about things like Abraham Hicks and that, because it's funny. I was telling Debbie the other day, I'm part of his TV channel in England. It's part of Sky TV, which is a massive broadcasting TV platform, and the PR woman for our channel, she's very good friends with the sister of Esther Hicks, of Abraham Hicks, and I'm trying to get her on my show. But what I think I will do is maybe get both of you on the show, and then maybe you can have her on your show, because I think you have a lot in common. I think you'll bounce off each other, and I think it'll be a great show if I can get her. So,
yeah, Esther was very. The thing that Esther Hicks did for me is that she made the idea of being a channel very palatable. I kept it hidden. I thought it was weird, even though it was coming to me. I thought sharing it was weird, because before Esther, channeling was something that was real. When people channeled, it freaked people out sometimes to watch it. And Esther really got a system down to where she's able to do it in such a way that you can just really align with it and listen to it. And it's not something that scares people at all, because it just feels so warm and loving. And that was very inspiring to me in my sharing of the stream. In fact, my first book, I wrote The Stream, Eternal Wisdom for a Better Life. This is available on Amazon. I thanked Esther in this book for making channeling something that's palatable to me, because most of this book is channeled information. And I do have a book about the TYA Practice coming out, but we're about a year away from publishing that.
Oh, I look forward to it. Well, look, David, thank you very much. Thank you for being patient with this technology that we've had, but we got there in the end. It's all about the Ethernet cable straight into the router, straight to your laptop. That's what it's about.
Trust that Wi-Fi signal always, but I would love to come back, and then maybe next time I will channel and answer questions. Let the stream answer questions.
I would absolutely love that, and I'll definitely take you up on that offer for sure. But obviously, I'm going to. Are you going to the SGW meeting now? I know we're a bit late. Are you going for that, or are you busy?
No, I'm going to be on tomorrow though for her all-day Christmas event. I'm going to be on 10:30 a.m. Pacific tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll be on at 8 a.m. Pacific, actually. So, well, look, I'm sure I'll see you again in one of the meetings, but we'd love to have you on. But thank you very much. You've been a great guest. I know I'm going to get a lot of response. I'm going to replay this, because a lot of my people, I'm sure, were waiting at 8 o'clock p.m. UK time, and we weren't on because of my problem. So anyway, thank you very much, David. I've been really so much gratitude here, and so grateful to have you on. Thank you, sir. You've been great. Thank you, sir. Cheers. Wow, that was David Strickle. What a man. And I want to learn about this. If you want to hear about TYA Bootcamp, TYA Program, TYA Practice, you can go to thestreamofdavid.com or just type in TYA, TYA. I'm sure you can find it on the website. Go to David Strickle or Stream of David Facebook page. If you can text this number, 76028476665. It's mainly for people in America, I believe. I don't think it will work anywhere else. And text the word awaken. You get a free complimentary meditative course or meditative practice of some kind. Guys, this has been Saf Surgery. This has been Spirituality Gone Wild. I'm on tonight, again on Facebook Live. I'm being interviewed this time. That's at 10 p.m. UK time, so in an hour's time I'll be on. And tomorrow, don't forget, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. UK time. We've got the Spirituality Gone Wild, the Jolly Gone Wild, where all of our co-creators will have an hour, 2 hours, just having fun on Christmas Day, especially for people who want a bit of company. And of course, I'm always on Saturday morning and Sunday morning on the Feel Good Factor TV channel 191 Sky Showcase. And I'm on at 10 a.m. Guys, this has been Saf Buxy, Saf Surgery. Do not fear. Saf is here. God bless you. And peace.